My name is Sam, I'm 28 years old, and this is the story of how my life was turned upside down by someone I thought I could help and love unconditionally. It all started when I met her, Jessica, who was only 24 at the time. To say she had a rough past would be an understatement. The weight of her family's brokenness, coupled with the emotional and physical abuse she suffered, made her an easy target for manipulation and pain. When I met Jessica, she had already been through more than most people ever should, especially at her age. She was living in a toxic environment with parents who barely acknowledged each other, let alone her. Her mother was unfaithful to her father, and whenever her mother would get angry, Jessica would bear the brunt of it. I could see the emotional scars she carried, and though I had no idea at that moment just how deep those scars were, I knew one thing: she needed help. I was there, trying to be her support system. I offered her a place to stay, away from the chaos of her home, where she was no longer safe. She moved in with me, thinking that maybe this was her chance for a fresh start. I tried to help her rebuild her life, to give her a sense of security, and show her that there was more to life than the emotional damage she was carrying around. But what I didn't realize at the time was that, in trying to help her, I was also letting myself drown. The first few months were not easy. Her past wasn't something she could easily shake off, and sometimes it felt like the weight of her past was coming crashing into our present. I understood that it would take time for her to heal, and I was patient. I stood by her through everything, hoping that one day she would see me as the person who helped her escape from her past and the one who would always have her back. But as time passed, something in her started to change. I began to notice a shift in her behavior. It wasn't something I could pin down exactly, but she seemed more distant, more angry, and less grateful for the safe space I had created for her. It wasn't long before the signs of her inner turmoil started to manifest in ways that I couldn't ignore. Her anger issues became more severe, and she started lashing out at me. What began as small arguments soon turned into fights that escalated quickly, with her screaming at me and hitting me. The first time she hit me, I was in shock. I never thought someone I loved could hurt me like that, but there I was, sitting in the hospital with bruises that I didn't know how to explain. Yet I didn't walk away. I couldn't walk away. I kept thinking she was just struggling, that the abuse wasn't her fault, that she needed me. And so I stayed, hoping things would improve. Her addiction to gambling only worsened things. She borrowed money from me, money that I could barely afford to give, but I did it anyway because I thought it would make her happy, make her stop spiraling. But nothing helped. Nothing ever seemed to be enough. And the worst part was, I was so deep into this relationship, so emotionally tied to her, that I couldn't see just how much damage it was doing to me. As the months went by, I started to lose myself. I gained weight, felt more depressed, and began to distance myself from my friends and family. I couldn't focus on anything other than trying to save Jessica, but in the process, I was losing myself. I was no longer the person I used to be, and deep down, I knew this wasn't healthy for either of us. Yet, despite all this, I stuck around. I was trying to fix someone who didn't want to be fixed, someone who was far too broken to appreciate the love I was offering. But the final straw came in January, when she suddenly dumped me. She said she wasn't in love with me anymore, and before I even had a chance to process what had just happened, she was already with another guy. When Jessica dumped me, I was left in a state of shock and disbelief. It happened so suddenly, with no warning signs, no explanation, just a cold, heartless statement that she wasn't in love with me anymore. It felt like a punch in the gut, and honestly, I didn't know how to react. I thought I was doing everything right. I had been there for her when no one else was. I had sacrificed so much of myself to help her heal, and this was how it ended. She walked away from me, and within days, she was with someone else. At first, I tried to make sense of it. I told myself that maybe she was just confused, or that she needed time. Maybe I wasn't enough for her, but surely, after everything we had been through together, she wouldn't just throw it all away. But as the days went on, reality set in. I started piecing together the truth, and it stung more than I could ever imagine. She had been seeing the other guy while we were still together. The betrayal hit me like a tidal wave. I had been blind to her actions, too caught up in trying to save her to see what was right in front of me. She had been secretly dating someone else behind my back, all while telling me that she loved me and wanted a future together. My entire reality crumbled in an instant. The woman I had trusted, the woman I had cared for with all my heart, had used me. It wasn't just a breakup, it was a calculated decision, a betrayal that cut deep. But the worst part wasn't just the infidelity, it was the way she discarded me so easily. After everything I had done for her, after all the pain I had endured, she didn't even care enough to offer any closure or give me a proper explanation. She just moved on, and I was left to pick up the pieces of my shattered heart. Days turned into weeks, and I found myself drowning in a sea of anger, sadness, and confusion. How could she do this to me? Why did I let myself become so attached to someone who clearly didn't appreciate me? I couldn't help but wonder if she had ever really loved me, or if I was just a means to an end, someone to fill the void in her life temporarily until she found someone else. I went into a deep depression. I stopped taking care of myself. I lost the drive to work out, to keep up with the progress I had made. I just wanted to curl up in a ball and disappear. She had taken everything from me, the love, the trust, the connection, and I was left with nothing. But as time passed, something inside me began to shift. I wasn't going to let this define me. I wasn't going to let her win. I had spent so much of my life trying to fix her, trying to make her happy, but now it was time to focus on me. I started working out again, pushing myself harder than ever before. I knew I had to get back to who I was before all of this, before she came into my life and tore me apart. I lost weight. A lot of weight, 25 kilograms, 55 pounds to be exact. I was in the best shape of my life, both physically and mentally. I felt stronger, more confident. For the first time in months, I felt like I was in control of my own life again. But even as I transformed into someone I was proud of, the memories of her, the pain of the betrayal, haunted me. One night I was scrolling through my social media, trying to distract myself, when I saw her post. It was a picture of her with the new guy, looking happy and carefree. My heart sank. She had moved on, but I still couldn't shake off the feelings of anger and hurt. That's when I realized I wanted revenge. I wanted her to feel the pain I had felt. I wanted to make her pay for what she had done to me, but deep down, I knew that revenge wouldn't heal me. It wouldn't bring me peace. It would only drag me back into the toxic mess that she had created. Still, I couldn't ignore the desire to make her see what she had lost. The conflict inside me was overwhelming. Should I reach out to her? Should I give her a taste of her own medicine? Or should I just walk away completely? But then something else happened. I began to see her for who she truly was. She wasn't the woman I had tried to help, the woman I thought I could save. She was a person trapped in her own cycle of toxicity, and no matter how much I loved her or how hard I tried, I could never fix that. She didn't want to be saved. She didn't want to change. As I worked on my physical transformation, something deeper began to shift inside of me. At first, it was just about getting my body back into shape. I wanted to reclaim the strength I had lost during our toxic relationship. But the more I pushed myself to my limits, the more I realized that I wasn't just changing on the outside, I was changing within. I wasn't the same person I had been when I was with Jessica. I had grown, I had healed in ways I hadn't thought possible. My body had transformed, yes, but so had my mind. I started to realize that the person I was, the person I had become, was someone stronger. Someone who could take control of his own destiny and not let anyone, especially Jessica, have the power to pull me back into a place of pain and helplessness. But even as I began to rebuild my life, the memories of her were still there, lurking in the background. It wasn't just the good memories, it was the bad ones too. The pain, the betrayal, the feeling of being used, it all still haunted me. And then she started to reach out again. It wasn't a direct message, no. Instead, it was through social media. I began to notice that she was watching my stories, liking my posts. I could feel her presence even from a distance. It was like she couldn't let go of me, even though she had already moved on with someone else. Her actions were a clear sign that she was keeping tabs on me, and I hated it. But at the same time, I felt a strange pull. It was almost as if I wanted to make her see the person I had become. I wanted her to know that I wasn't the same person she had left behind. I wanted her to regret her decision. I wanted her to feel the weight of what she had thrown away. The more I thought about it, the more I came up with a plan that I convinced myself would give me the closure I needed. I would play along. I would act friendly and make her believe that maybe, just maybe, we could reconcile. I would give her hope. I would show her that I had moved on, that I was doing well without her. And then, when she least expected it, I would coldly reject her. I would tell her that I had found someone clean, fit, and healthy, something she wasn't anymore. I thought it would feel good to do that, to watch her squirm, to see her regret her actions. I thought it would be a moment of triumph, a way to make her pay for the abuse and the pain she had caused me. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right about this plan. I knew that if I went through with it, I was only feeding into the same toxic cycle that had ruined our relationship in the first place. Would it give me the closure I craved, or would it drag me back into her world of manipulation, deceit, and pain? I couldn't stop the urge to act. I couldn't stop wanting revenge. But at the same time, a part of me realized that revenge wasn't the answer. I didn't want to become the person who was consumed by hatred and anger. I didn't want to let her control my life any longer, even if it was through my desire for payback. I sought advice from a few close friends who had been through similar situations. Their answers were clear: let her go, don't waste your energy on trying to make her feel bad, you've already won, you've become the person you always wanted to be, let her fade away into the past. Revenge won't heal you, it will only drag you back into the mess you've worked so hard to escape. It made sense, but it didn't make the temptation go away. The urge to make her pay still burned inside me. I wasn't sure if I could let go, but I knew I had to try. For my own peace, for my own happiness, I had to find a way to stop her from having any influence over my life. So I decided to focus on myself even more. I threw myself into my work, my hobbies, my friends. I started doing the things that made me happy before I met her. I remembered the person I used to be before she entered my life, the person who was confident, independent, and whole on his own. That person was still inside me, and it was time to bring him back. As the days passed, I realized that my strength didn't come from revenge. It came from letting go. Letting go of the pain, letting go of the anger, and letting go of the need to make her feel what I had felt. The more I let go, the more I found myself moving forward, finding peace in the process. And slowly, the anger started to fade. Jessica would always be a part of my past, but she no longer had control over my future. The days after I decided to focus on myself became a turning point. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't immediate. I spent countless nights wrestling with my thoughts, replaying the entire relationship in my head, wondering if I could have done something different, if I could have saved her from herself. But with each passing day, I started to realize that the truth wasn't that simple. I couldn't save anyone, especially not someone who didn't want to be saved. I had to let go not just of her, but of the version of myself I had created for her. I had to stop being the person who would bend over backward for someone who didn't care. I had to stop seeking validation from someone who had only used me for their own needs. I had to stop clinging to the hope that things would magically get better. One evening, as I was going through my routine, working out, eating healthy, taking care of myself, I got another notification. It was a message from Jessica. It had been a while since I'd heard from her, and I had successfully managed to avoid her attempts to contact me up until this point. But something about this message felt different. My heart raced as I opened it, and there it was. "I've been thinking about you a lot lately. Can we talk?" I sat there, staring at the screen, feeling a rush of conflicting emotions. Part of me wanted to ignore her, to block her once and for all and never look back. But another part of me, an unhealthy part, wanted to hear her out. What did she want this time? Was she sorry? Did she regret her actions? Would she admit everything she had done wrong? Or was this just another attempt to get back into my life, another round of manipulation? I knew I had a choice to make. The old me, the one who wanted revenge, might have played along just like I had planned before. I might have given her hope only to crush it at the last moment, to make her feel the pain I had felt. But that wasn't the person I was anymore. I had changed. I had worked too hard to reclaim my peace, to get my life back, to let her drag me back into the mess again. I thought about everything I had been through, the pain, the betrayal, the gaslighting. I thought about the moments when I had been strong, the moments when I had chosen myself over her, when I had pushed through the darkness and emerged stronger on the other side. I thought about how far I had come, how much I had grown, and how I had finally started to feel whole again. In that moment, I made the decision. I wasn't going to engage with her. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of knowing she still had a hold on me. I wasn't going to let her back into my life, no matter how many times she tried. I had already given her so many chances, so much of myself, and each time she had thrown it all away. She didn't deserve another chance. So I did something that felt incredibly empowering. I deleted the message. I didn't respond, I didn't block her, but I didn't engage either. I chose to move forward, to take that next step into a future that didn't include her. In the days that followed, something amazing happened. I felt lighter, I felt free. The weight I had been carrying for so long slowly started to lift. The temptation to seek revenge, to make her feel my pain, faded away. It wasn't about her anymore, it was about me. It was about my healing, my growth, my happiness. I realized that true freedom wasn't in making her pay for what she had done. It was in letting go of the need for closure. I didn't need her apology. I didn't need her to validate my pain. I had already healed on my own. The real power was in choosing not to engage with the toxicity anymore, to walk away from the drama, and to move forward with my life. I learned a valuable lesson through all of this. Revenge never brings peace. Revenge only ties you to the past, and the past has no place in the future I want to build. The future I'm building now is one where I am in control, where I am free to be the best version of myself without anyone holding me back. And so, I let go. I let go of the hurt, the anger, and the desire for revenge. I let go of the past, and for the first time in a long time, I felt truly at peace.